Governor Josh Shapiro set to deliver this year's budget address on Tuesday in Harrisburg, outlining his priorities for what will be a contentious election year. Fox 43's James Corrigan now here with a preview of the speech after talking to legislative leaders on both sides of the aisle.
Well, Evan, those leaders are just as curious as the rest of us on what exactly is going to be in Governor Shapiro's speech and proposal for this coming budget. We all remember, of course, the nightmare that was last year's budget deadlock and the issues it caused for schools and social services. This year, both sides are putting their priorities forward, knowing that just about anything can happen with an election looming in November. House Majority Leader Matt Bradford says he expects Governor Shapiro to continue to emphasize economic growth in his address, including the Working Pennsylvanians Tax Credit and permitting reform that were hallmarks of last year's budget agreement.
I would hope that we double down on some of the successes we've already had in that regard, whether it's the dependent care tax credit, the earned income tax credit, 7 tax cuts under Governor Shapiro, continuing that legacy.
Republicans say they'll be closely watching the overall spend number. While last year's budget did not take from the rainy day fund, it used nearly $4 billion in other reserves. House Minority Leader Jesse Topper says he hopes the proposal includes a smaller increase to bring the two sides together faster.
From a budgetary standpoint, we need to see a realistic number, first and foremost. I think some of the unrealistic expectations that were set over the last budget address set us back.
Bradford says an aging population is to blame for the state's long-running structural deficit. He says using some reserve money will be necessary until their economic growth measures bear fruit.
The solution to our balance sheet issues is largely driven out by better tax policy, growing this economy. But yes, in the short term, we're going to have to use some of that large surplus that we've built up.
Topper says alternative revenue sources like taxing skill games will need buy-in from numerous stakeholders, but that it will not solve the state's spending issue the way that long-term economic growth would.
If there is going to be growth in the spend number, how does that correlate to growth in the economy? That requires public policy.
Education funding will be expected to increase again this year through the adequacy formula for public schools, while Republican leaders remain cold on legalizing recreational marijuana. Housing policy will likely also play a major role in this year's budget, with Shapiro expected to outline his plan on making housing more affordable. Both sides say they hope to avoid the deadlock that plagued last year's budget, which came 135 days late. Topper says avoiding that will take starting earlier and coming together, while Bradford says Senate Republicans will need to sort out issues in their own caucus first.
We've been able to really move the Commonwealth forward despite the legislative challenges that the Senate's dealing with. I'm hopeful that they're going to get their act together and we're going to get a budget in place.
It requires all of us to go into a room and understand that we need to do things for the good of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, not necessarily in response to the next election cycle.
Now, also hanging over the budget is the threat of losing federal funding for Medicaid and SNAP from the One Big Beautiful Bill. While numbers for SNAP won't be official until the summer, Bradford says he's open to hearing the ideas the governor may have to fill those gaps, while Topper expects any item from the governor that would lead to more spending. James Corrigan, Fox 43 News.
All right, James, thank you very much.